Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Canadians with Disabilities and Their Allies. My name is Brent Frain. I'm the host, and it's also known as PWD Allies podcast on your favorite app where you find it most suitable to listen to on your run or walk or whatever you're doing. Today, I have MLA Adam Olsen from Saanich North and the Islands from the Green Party in BC joining me. Hello, Adam.
Good day. Nice to see
How
you.
are you? Yeah, it's nice to actually finally catch up with you via YouTube here. This is
Sure.
awesome. I mean, last time I had you on, it was on Twitter Space. We owe Twitter.
Well, I appreciate, not that I'm shy to do live events, Brent, but as you know, you got contacted by our press secretary today to see if we could move the event. And I would have felt a lot more guilty if I was moving a live event that people
Yeah.
were expecting than something that's pre-recorded. So here we
Yeah.
are. I was able to move the event, and I appreciate your flexibility. I've got a speech to be delivered when the House resumes this afternoon. So
Hmm.
And we do know that Sonia was going to be on with you, but she's not feeling well. So,
yeah,
Yeah.
we've had kind of a revolving door here between the two of us. I was out at home with COVID last week. Actually, it was the my second bout with it, and
Hmm.
I'm back now, and I returned, and Sonia's gone.
No,
And so we hope that she returns tomorrow.
okay.
yeah, I hope she feels better very soon. There's before we jump into the segment, I was going to quickly mention Saanich, North and the Islands. Adam, my favorite spot to go to is over on Salt Spring Island, over in Ganges. There's a nice, good coffee shop there. I can't recall the name of it. It's right near the pharmacy. It's a really cool place. I love it.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to represent the Southern Gulf Islands. They are incredible communities, incredible people that live on those islands. Lots of opinions,
Yeah.
um, and great small businesses, great proprietors. So
You know
yeah,
what I
keep.
you know what I you know what I love about Salt Spring is you can get the map. You can get the map of all the artisan houses, and you can go
Yeah,
to a house and say, "I want to
Mm.
get fresh bread today." And you stop to somebody's driveway, and they come out with a fresh thing of fruit bread or something. It's really cool. Or you go see somebody's like art gallery. Really neat that they have that kind of map. You can just follow along and drive to people's personal houses and just check things out. Really,
Yeah,
really cool that they do that. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and taking the little ferry over there, it's quite neat because you just pay for one way and come back, and it's like you feel like you're getting your value for your dollar now because especially BC ferry is so expensive now as a foot passenger. Even the main ferries are just outrageous, over $19 for one way, Adam, on the main
Yeah,
route. Crazy, and they just
and
price gets
that doesn't include your if you're walking on, that doesn't include your transportation costs on either side.
Yep.
And so I think we're seeing, and I think as the context of our conversations have been, Brent and Neil, the increasing costs of everything, the
Yeah.
Yes.
increasing costs of
Yes.
life, are having a tremendous strain and impact on everybody, but they are
Mhm.
having an outsized impact on people with disabilities, on people who are living on income assistance, on
Hmm.
seniors on a fixed income, and we're seeing that impact in our constituency offices right across the province.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, we most definitely, and people PWD and BC, they have to sacrifice a lot of things in order to juggle things around to say take a ferry trip once in a while just to have a change of scenery and check out another community and put the resources into another community. And it's hard. It's really difficult. I remember years ago and on previous podcasts, Neil and I, we talk about this a lot. Uh, PWD used to be a pension in BC at
Mhm.
one time, way back in the early
Hmm.
90s. And then it was just gone. It's like my little pink unicorn here. It's like magic. It's just,
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to acknowledge your pink unicorn
yeah.
behind your head
Oh,
there.
yeah, right behind me. Yeah.
And
And
I'm always talking about pink unicorns and the idea that it's just we have legislated poverty in this province, And we talk on the podcast all the time that the system is broken, but it's broken on purpose.
Today, Neil, in question period, the Minister of Finance talked about the $175 rate increase that was given in April 1st, 2021, and framed it as part of the minister's answer. Framed it as good enough. This is good enough, and I couldn't help but knowing that this conversation was going to come, I couldn't help but blurting out, that's still thousands of dollars below the poverty line. So the minister's taking a victory lap on $175, and look, $175 is $175. It's not nothing. I don't want to make it sound like I'm, or that anybody is unhappy with $175. It does help, as Brent just framed, getting to Vancouver. But when the minister frames it like the job is done, our work is done here, it's insulting, is what it is. It's insulting, and I could feel the tension of this conversation coming right after hearing that, because something had to be said.
Mm-hmm. Well, the part that really is so upsetting is, during the beginning of the COVID, when the emergency measures were put in place of helping persons with disabilities and people on income assistance. I think as seniors got that too. It was a $300 COVID supplement, and it was going month by month, and they would just see how it goes. Every 3 months, they would review it, and it was going for like 9 months, and it changed the outlook for persons with disabilities in BC, for people to be able to buy nutritious food. They didn't have to go to a food bank. They could buy what they need to buy at a grocery store. And of course, cost of living was actually a little bit lower then. Now it's skyrocketing even higher. But, the point on that is that, like, I know Sonia and I, like, we found a new place to live at that time. We thought, wow, like, we've now got this $300 each. And we thought, okay, like, we can now afford this nice place that we can call home. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. The management company had other plans, had cleared out 2 floors. So we moved into a more expensive unit inside the building, and $1,775 at them. And then we thought, okay, we can't afford this, because we found out that the government now has taken away that COVID supplement, that now you have it. No, you don't need it anymore, right? It was working for you. See how it is to have less. So our management company said, well, yeah, but you told us that this is the amount that you're going to be having going forward. I go, right, because the ministry's office had said, Brent, this is the amount that you're going to be getting going forward. They're not going to take it away. Like, once they give it, they're not going to take it away from you. I go, oh, okay. So I told the management company exactly that. And surprise, surprise. So the news hour reached out to us doing a press conference, right? They said, well, what would happen? And they asked Sonia the question, right? Sonia, what did they say to you? What would happen if they took the $300 away?
Oh, we'd have to move.
We would have to move. And that's what we did. So we moved to Victoria, and that's where we've been since.
Yeah.
Couldn't find anywhere.
Because we found somewhere cheaper. We found
a place. That was a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah, a brand new building that we saw getting built from scratch. And it was built in 2020. We moved to a place that's a 1967 building. Sacrifices. And we didn't really want to move, Adam. I mean, yeah, we love Victoria. It's nice, especially we're close to the legislature for advocacy reasons and stuff. And seeing you guys there, it's awesome. Yeah.
Part of the work that I'm going to be doing this afternoon is to talk about the economic system, the socioeconomic systems that we've constructed. And one of the narratives that I continue to hear emerging out of the BC legislature is this rather convenient reframing of history. I'll say, I'll be kind to the people who are doing it. It's a reframe of history that the BC NDP government, as much as it would be great to blame everything on a government, this BC NDP government is responsible for this current affordability crisis that we're facing. And it, of course, is a complete affront. It's an offense to history, because we have actually constructed a socioeconomic system and series of socioeconomic systems in this country that we've been quite proud of, actually. And to the point where actually talking about them in a negative light is a career limiting to some cases, right?
Yeah.
We can't speak poorly about the economic systems that we have, the markets that have been constructed that have created incredible wealth for some.
Mm-hmm.
That just
Yeah.
to remind me of the work to come.
I love those bells.
So, I think to just truncate what I was going to say here, the reality is that our economic systems are producing the exact outcomes that they were designed to produce.
Mm-hmm.
They're not producing these outcomes by mistake. And, I think that what we need to do is we need to take a look at the systems that have been produced, or the systems that we've constructed that serve, that should be serving all of society, but only serve some,
Mm-hmm.
and really serve a few, and recognize that this is not the result of a BC NDP government's decisions. This is a result of successive decisions going back to the Age of Enlightenment, when we started to move away from a collective type of living where people lived where they were born, and moved
Mm-hmm.
through time towards individualism, where everybody has to get by on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And that has made it incredibly difficult. For the vast majority, millennia of human existence, we've lived together. We've supported each other. The village is a real thing. And so, your story, Brent, really strikes me in some of the context that I've been writing about over the last couple of days as I prepare for this speech, because, it's nice to have you here in Victoria.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that you're living in Victoria and that you've moved into a community. But people shouldn't be forced to move out of a community, out of a social network, out of the supports that they have built around them, because they can't afford to live there. In fact, when you think about that in the context of it, the displacement that you experienced, if Sonia wasn't there, if you were doing this on your own, you'd be moving into a town where you knew nobody.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all of your social fabric has now moved away simply because you couldn't meet an economic formula that somebody else set for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my situation too, like my situation is my survivor's pension is clawed back every month. For the last 10 years, it's been clawed back as unearned income. They used to claw back every single cent of it. And now they respect my son's portion as the orphan's portion, but they still claw back almost $500 of it every month. And it's just crazy to me.
That's the province that does that, Neil?
Yeah, it's the province that does that. And what I was going to say is, when it first started to happen, like when my first wife passed away, and I saw my check got a lot smaller, like they clawed back everything. Plus, of course, I lost my wife's allotment, which made sense, of course, because she's gone. But my support went all the way down to, it was less than $400 a month of support, because they clawed everything back. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, obviously this is a mistake. I was naive enough to think, oh, they must have made an accounting error, right? So this is my own naivety, my own stupidity, my own naivety to believe, oh, it must have been an error. And so I call them and they say, well, what's going on here? And they're like, no, we're doing this on purpose. And I'm like, so you're purposely victimizing widows, widowers, and orphans on purpose? And they're like, yeah, we meant to do that. I'm like,
this
okay.
Is British Columbia. British Columbia.
British Columbia does this. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, a pension is supposed to be, if you look up the definition of a pension in the dictionary, in any dictionary in the world, any dictionary in the world, what is a pension? A pension is a protected income, right? That's that's what a pension is. It's a protected income. And yet, for some reason, the provincial government can take a protected income and say it's not a protected income anymore. We'll claw it off.
Why are they clawing it back, Neil?
Because they say it's unearned, and that's why I talk about the pink unicorn all the time, because you have a protected income, supposedly a protected income that they can just go poof. We'll turn it into a pink unicorn now. It's no longer protected for you because you're on PWD assistance, so you no longer deserve the dignity and autonomy and whatever else of a pension. The proper genetic makeup of a pension is a protected income, but you no longer deserve it because you're on PWD assistance. And to me, that's discriminatory. And I've done like 3 different tribunals, and I'd actually talked to the tribunal chair, and his response was, well, we also claw back pensions from elderly people too. And as long as we're clawing back pensions from elderly people too, it's not discrimination. It's a fair equal discrimination.
Everybody's getting clawed. Neil,
yeah. So it's like they think, well, as long as it's equally applied to not just you with a disability, then it doesn't count as discrimination anymore. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you just turned a protected pension into a pink unicorn. How is a pink unicorn not discriminatory? And they're like, well, it just isn't. Wow. I'm like, okay.
They're clawing it back because they're making the statement that you're making too much money, or you can't make money from 2 different sources or something.
Well, of course, you know about the where they have the they have the income exemptions, right? You know about the income exemptions where you're allowed to make up to $15,000 a year, right, of earned income. They have that as a rule. You're allowed to make up to $15,000 of earned income, but they don't classify pensions for whatever reason. I don't know why, even though it's protected income, they don't classify pensions as earned income. They classify it as unearned income, and because it's unearned income, they can claw it off.
Yeah, if it's not employment, then they think that it's other income, so they can now justify it. I went through something like that through WCB once, where it was on a medical WCB claim, and I was on EI at the same time, and they wanted to claw it back, and the doctor who was putting me through physiotherapy and chiropractic treatment, he says, no, under section blah blah under the WCB Act, it actually said they can't claw it up. I said, well, they're taking it off me. He goes, so here's the letter. You tell them to go to section blah blah on the page 2. And they're like, where are you reading that, Brent? Where are you reading that? We're arguing with me. I said, you can't claw it off. Like, oh, where'd you find that? Well, the doctor came across it. Oh, I didn't know that. So now they had to reimburse me back, and all the pain and suffering. I go, I'm going through enough pain already. I don't need enough more pain in my life.
Would you get PWD if you were working, if you had earned income?
Yeah, well, actually, my previous wife, she had a disability as well. She had arthrogryposis, so she was in a motorized wheelchair her whole life. Very significant disability, actually. And but she was amazing. She was so able. She was one of the most able disabled women you'd ever meet in your life. But she still needed 24/7 care aids. So it was a very significant disability. But she was a school teacher for 16 years of her life. She was an elementary school teacher in Surrey, and amazing, just an amazing woman. And so she earned money, and I earned money, and then and then when my son was born, we both wanted to downsize our jobs because, of course, being a parent is a full-time job, right? And especially when you have a disability, there's 2 of us with a disability, right? And so we were just being realistic as 2 parents with a disability raising a child for the first time. We knew we had to kind of step away and downsize our jobs, So she worked half-time and I worked half-time at something. So we were still able to earn our it was at that time it was around $1,000. We were allowed to earn around $1,000 of earned income without getting clawed back. And so that's what we did. She earned her $1,000 by working like 2 days a week and around there, and I earned my $1,000 as well. And so yeah, we both earned like around $2,000 extra at plus the PWD, and that was allowed under the rules. But
there's something that Sonia first to know, my colleague mentioned to me. And she says it actually in a variety of different ways, but these systems are set up to treat people like they're bad people.
Yeah,
they're set up to force people to prove that they're not bad people, or that they're not trying to take advantage of a system, rather than providing support for people to realize the best of themselves and the best that they can present, or the best they can deliver, and then support people when it doesn't meet the need that they have in order to be able to survive in society. Our systems aren't designed that way. Our systems aren't designed to say, do what you can do, and then we'll be there to support you. We'll be there to provide that social safety net below you, so that you're not going to go any further than that. So our system is set up to automatically and this is something that's so surprising about this current BC NDP government that we have, is that the promise of this BC NDP government, of course, is that they're the people's party, they're the people's government, they're the party with democratic in their name, right? Like, the expectation was for a lot of groups in our society that when they became government, that the things that they've been waiting for would be delivered. And I only decided to be partisan in this, and I don't. I tend to just try to do my business without it. But it is important. It is important to mention that when people are looking to who they are electing, don't go by brand, don't go by color, don't go by flag. Go by what the people that are on that ballot saying to you. What are the words that they're saying? And then hold them accountable to those, because the promise, of course, was we're going to be different, but yet what they've delivered is the same callous approach, which is, prove to me you're not a bad person, then we'll give you what we deem to be enough. And it's far from that.
Well, what I find too, Adam, it's I watched the question period. I was watching that actually this morning, and I was watching that yesterday too. But oh well, we've given a little bit here, and we've given a little bit there, and we've done the most since we formed government, et cetera, et cetera. Well, how about lift people above the poverty level, like give them a livable income, and then you could say, well, look what we've done. My gosh, like how it would change people's lives. Like I'll give you a quick example. Before we moved to Victoria, like we were struggling trying to find a place to rent. Like a lot of landlords would say, well, call me end of the month, or call me at the beginning of the next month. Well, by then it's already now too late to give your notice in. Sure, you could give your notice in at any time, according to the RTB. They said, yeah, you can give your notice in at any time. But the problem is then your current landlord, if they can't rent your unit, you're now liable for 1 month of rent if they can't rent it out. So there's that little problem on there. So we ran into all these roadblocks, and then we ran into a bigger problem. There was about 7 or 8 corporate landlords within the city and the township of Langley, who would say, well, we can rent to you for sure, but your income needs to be no less than $4,500 a month. Say what? I'm like, well, we can go as low as 4,000. I go, we don't make that much. We'll tell the government to raise your income. I go, there's no way they're going to give each of us $2,000 just because. And so I brought it to the local MLA at the time. They didn't know what was going on. And that was over to Andrew Mercier's office. they didn't know what was going on there. Of course, that's what they told us. I said, well, you don't know that these corporate landlords are doing that? I said, there's a difference between 30% of your income, which is RGI, which would be wonderful for PWD and to market housing. But they were using the other part of the equation, right? Of saying median income earners. And they said that's just how their corporations were set up. And I said, that's wrong. Like, it's wrong. You can't be doing that. Not when you're having a tight market where people are having trouble finding a place to live. I said, if we don't find anything, I said to the one lady, I said, we're gonna have to move probably maybe to Victoria. And I said, we didn't want to at the time, but we did. And so I look back at that, and there was one thing, Adam, that I did suggest to the Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction, Honorable Sheila Malcolmson, in a meeting that I had with her, actually at the legislature there, with Jeff Leggett and Sonia right beside me here. We had a meeting, and I brought a proposal to her. And that was basically extending, the Save First program that seniors get. And then you got the RAP program. I always call it RAP, the residential assistance program. Yep. And that's for just general population, single mothers, single fathers having a hard time with the high cost of living and rent. So I suggested to her to extend that over to PWD, who live in market housing, who pay their rent to the corporate landlords, who are in the private, I guess it's the private sector. They own the private buildings. So I said, extend that over where now they can still live in their same place. They don't have to move, but now they can pay less to the corporate landlord out of their own check. They can now put that money back into the economy, and it makes everybody happy. It makes small businesses happy. And she says, that's brilliant. I love that idea, Brent, when you think outside the box.
We have to let Adam go.
Did they act outside the box though?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've not acted up. You can do, and I appreciate it, Neil. Thank you. I've got to go get ready for getting it. Yeah. But it's fine for a minister to say, oh, great. Way to go, Brent, for thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Let's all get together and think outside the box until they start acting outside the box.
Yeah. We'll have to take this up on another time, Adam. I'd like to have you and Sonia come on. We'll get your secretary to arrange that. That'd be awesome. Yeah. I'd love to kind of dive into a little bit of that.
It was a great chat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for providing this space for us to connect. And Sonia and I will continue to do the work that we do in the legislature on behalf of people, and we try to make a difference, and we appreciate.
I've always said that I loved when you guys were doing the supply confidence and supply agreement.
Yeah,
that to me was proper government working as it should. Yeah, and I was sad to see that not carry on for longer. I wish it did.
We were prepared. We signed the agreement.
Yeah. And it was wonderful because it held them more, right to account, right? Yeah. And it shows you how governments can work together for sure.
That's right.
But Adam, I want to thank you very much for taking your time today to come on and talk about these pressing issues that are so important, and carrying our voice forward in the BC legislature, and echoing kind of other people's thoughts, and holding the government to account, and holding their feet to the fire, shall I always say. Definitely. I look forward to having you back on again soon, and with your colleague Sonia Personal.
Well, thanks, Neil. Thanks, Brent. Thanks Sonia.
Sonia. Get in there, Sonia. Come on over here. Hey, there you go.
The faceless voice in the. There you go. Thank you, Sonia. Nice to see you. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
And we'll do coffee again soon, too.
And Salt Spring, maybe.
And Salt Spring, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.